Hello. I haven't done a bonsai video in a while, but I decided to make one today. I hadn't made one in a while because most of my trees are dormant. They don't have any leaves on them. I don't bring them inside. I keep them out. I have so for the past 2 winters. I should say the winter of 2019, 2020, and this past one that we're going through now in 2021 into 2022. So I brought this tree in today to talk to people who might be trying to create bonsai out of a nursery stock of Chamaecyparis pisifera. And this particular variety is one that you won't normally see in bonsai. This is a king's gold. I have searched and searched, and I've been searching, and I haven't been able to find any pictures of a bonsai that's been done using this particular variety. I've seen all these others. I'm not even going to go through the list of ones I've seen, but on this particular one, it was very, very difficult. The first thing I did before I ever started, I did some research on the plant to find out that it was from a Honshu region of Japan. Of course, it may span in other areas as well. But with this particular variety, it's not easy to root it from hardwood cuttings, but that's what I was able to do with this one. You can see fine roots here, fine surface roots. Once I get done with this short talk, I'll pick up the camera so you can get a closer look. So once I took this cutting, I took this particular cutting from one of my king's gold that I had in my front yard when I decided I wanted to put it in a pot. So I had 3 when I started. 2 of them died. I had taken about, I would say, 40 cuttings. Of all the cuttings, I would say 10 survived. This was the biggest cutting that survived. Now, when it survived and rooted, it was much smaller than this, and it didn't have as much foliage, I should say, on it. And so I'll tell you the things that I learned. Number 1, the Chamaecyparis pisifera king's gold does not like being bare rooted. It doesn't even like being taken out of the ground once it's in the ground. You take it out, bare root it, try to pot it, prune it. I would say you're pretty much going to kill it. I think that I was just fortunate that the 2 that I have survived. Why this particular one rooted the way as vigorously as it did, I do not know. I don't have an answer for it. I did use some rooting powder, and I rooted it. Let me tell you how small it was, just to show you. I have one of the pots, and you'll recognize this pot. This is the pot that I rooted it in. Just a regular old pot, and it stayed in this pot. I would say it stayed in that pot for a year. This didn't go into this particular pot until October of 2020, and I was so sure that it wasn't going to survive because I had lost so many that I didn't even film it. I just potted it, and not only did it survive, but it thrived. So one of the things I did, because I have been watching so many videos, is under this root mass, there is a rock. And so I set it on there just so I could get it to stand the way it is. And on top of that, this tree is not wired into this pot, but it's holding itself in. And I will tell you that it's in there very sturdy. After I potted it in October 2020, it just sits outside. I water it occasionally. It has had just the idget of browning, but it's just on tips, and it followed like a pruning. So I've been very careful about how I pruned it. When I was first setting this tree into this pot, I went with this style because I wanted to showcase this twin trunk more. I was going to rotate it so it would have been sitting in the pot, so that it would have been, so more of the foliage would have been facing like that. But I didn't want to block the view of this twin trunk, so I set it in like that, at that angle. And so you get kind of a slant style in a literati. You got the twin trunk. I was basically trying to create something with this composition that I have not seen before. I think there's more than enough examples of all the various styles. We know the bonsai masters have them covered in all the different countries. There's so many different approaches, and I wanted to create something for me that I would like, that was all mine, that I couldn't find. And so if you find one of these, this is a Chamaecyparis Pisifera twin trunk slant style. If you find one of these, let me know. And so with this particular look here, I'm going for, I don't know if you've ever seen a weeping willow. That's kind of the look that I'm going for. I did prune this last year, and then it just felt right. I pruned this back really hard. Now, when this was part of its original tree and it was in the ground, I would prune it very, very hard, and it always sprouted back quickly. That's why I was thinking it wouldn't be no problem for me to take it out of the ground and pot it, but oh, was I wrong. And so I pruned this last year. I'll show you some of the work that I did right here. I left this knob because it's hidden, but all of this had foliage on it. I cut it off, and here there was foliage, and I cut those tips off. Some of them I tried to root, some of them I didn't. I do have some 1 inch tall rooted Chamaecyparis Pisifera. As I was using younger cuttings, I was having more successes with rooting, and those cuttings survive harsh frozen winters where the ground is just a block of ice, and they come right back when the spring and summer comes, and they're just little 1 inch. So I'll give you a look at the roots, the surface roots, and I'll close it down. I really love this composition. It gets a lot of care. I try to make sure I keep debris out of it. One of the only problems I have, especially during the summer, there's a squirrel that likes to come through and absolutely wreck. I don't know what he's digging for, but there's a squirrel that lives in the neighborhood that wrecks this composition. But I get a lot of joy out of just looking at it. Sometimes the way I water it, I have a spray bottle and I'll mist it. Let me get mine. But it's done well. I consider myself to be very lucky to have this. It's something I created all on my own, and I would say because it was the one that survived, the main cutting that survived, it's gotten all my attention, and I think that matters. But for me, it's just perfect. Let you get a look at these twin trunks. That is very hardy. It just doesn't like being bothered. You bother this tree too much and it will die quickly. It won't even hesitate. It'll just turn brown. It'll turn tan first First sign you know that it's dead. It'll turn tan, it'll turn brown, and it'll dry up quick. It won't even waste time. And so here is the foliage on it. And so I just let it do its thing. Try not to bother it too much. So that's all I have. That's a Chamaecyparis Pisifera. It's been in this pot since October 2020. So it's going on its second year in this pot. I haven't repotted it yet. I probably won't for a while. It's not showing any signs of stress. And I actually took this cutting and